But if there is a favorite to finish in the top two, it would be 27-year-old Josh Davis, triple gold medalist from the 96 Olympics. Most golds, Rowdy, by any American man at those games.
You know, I have seen Josh Davis take a lot of races out very fast, but I've never seen Josh take it out that fast.
And he's still ahead of world record pace at the half. Davis looks like he's going to win it, and Davis sets an American record. He breaks a 12-year-old mark. What a swim for Davis.
Welcome to the Ultimate Swimmer Podcast. I'm your host, three-time Olympic gold medalist and captain of the 2000 USA team, Josh Davis. Here at Ultimate Swimmer, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you to be the very best version of you, physically, mentally, and spiritually, on your swimming journey. This podcast is geared primarily for those of us in the aquatic disciplines of age group swimming, college swimming, para swimming, open water swimming, and masters swimming. But we welcome all who are interested in peak performance, pursuing excellence, and swimming with purpose. So whether you are just starting out in the pool or you've been swimming your entire life, you were born for the water, and you were also born for greatness. So each week we will explore the 7 core habits of achieving greatness that will help take you to the next level in your journey to becoming an ultimate swimmer. This episode is brought to you by Breakout Swim Clinics, the longest-running swim clinic tour of swimming Olympians in U.S. history. Breakout Swim Clinics has been providing swim clubs with the biggest Olympic names for the best prices with gold medal service since 1997. Go to breakoutswimclinic.com and bring some of their great Olympians to your team to help your swimmers break out. Bigger names, better prices, gold medal service. Break out with the best. breakoutswimclinic.com. Hey, welcome everybody to another Ultimate Swimmer Podcast show. I'm your host, Josh Davis, and I'm very excited about this week's guest. He's an ultimate swim coach, and he was 18 years as head coach of the Louisville Cardinals, 6 years as a USA national team coach. He was a 2016 Olympic coach, ACC Coach of the Year, and second for the last 5 years, but finally won the ACC title this year. Holy cow. And he's also an ultimate dad, ultimate husband, and just an ultimate coach of many, many ultimate swimmers. Welcome to the podcast, Arthur Albiero. Welcome, Arthur.
What a great honor to be here today with the great Josh Davis. And I mean that. I'm not being facetious. This is, I've been a fan of Josh for a long time. And, man, just is a great, I love everything you do. Everything you touch, you do things so well with such great class. And I know your heart, so I appreciate it. Anytime I have an opportunity to be associated with you in any way, count me in. I'm in. So thank you.
Well, that's beautiful. I appreciate that. I've felt a kindred spirit with you for a long, long time. And all the swimming community is happy for you this week because you guys are ACC champions. And so just tell us briefly, while it's fresh on your mind, just the epic battle that took place last week between you and the rest of the ACC and how joyous it was to share that with your son and your team and everything like that.
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you. It's looking back at it, none of it looked in our favor, right? The numbers were never in our favor. Even going to the last day and even going to the last session, the more I'm running the numbers, the more I'm thinking, I'm not sure we can pull this off. But, we didn't spend a whole lot of energy on that. And I really didn't discuss that with the team. We just said, hey, we're going to do what we always do. And we're going to focus on us. And we're going to perform with our hearts. That's been the trademark of Louisville swimming. We always talk about it's not about arms and legs for us. We compete with heart, compete with great pride. And for the people that are on the team now, but for all the people that have come before us. So there's a sense of responsibility and connection, to the past a little bit. And certainly our recent years, and the success that we've had. So many people that helped us get close. And finally, for this group to kind of break through that threshold, I think it's the most unusual year of all time, right? It's we had to go deep in a lineup. We're missing 3 guys that we would consider, superstars or guys that were scheduled to really have a history of scoring big points at this meet. And we have to go down to, a couple of juniors that have never even been to the conference meet, never made the conference squad, that deep. And those guys stepped in and delivered, amazing performances in key moments. As we always say, a championship is never pretty. Doesn't have to be. But, man, for us, it was just about keeping us in it, and just let's get to the next event. Let's take care of business this event, so then we're still alive on the next event and the next event, and then the next event came down to 10-point lead going to the 400 free relay, and and this is so awkward this year, Josh, because the relays have to be separate. So you're going four relays at a time, open lanes in the middle, and we're seated with a regular season time, so we're not even in the final heat. So when heat 2 out of 3. And the championship comes down to this most awkward moment where we got a 10-point lead. We know that, even if we get second, we're still in good shape. But, you can't really gauge it. So it's yes, I did tell him I made the coach cardinal mistake. And I said, hey, guys, no matter what, you do not try. Don't guess the starts, right? We try to call it smart starts, but they understood it as you sit there. So our exchanges were 0.3. I think we're 0.25, 0.32, and 0.33. I would say we were safe. And then we ended up getting second by 17 100ths, but ultimately we knew that wasn't going to matter, and we worked so hard that we just needed to defend at that moment to close the deal and bring the trophy home. And for the current guys, for the previous guys, for all the years here, 18 years that have been at Louisville, from the early stages of building this from really scratch to this moment, it's very rewarding as a coach. But I couldn't be happier for the team, just to see the joy, the pride, and the teammates. I knew it was special when right after the relay was over, I looked over, the guys from the stands came down to kind of hug it out with the relay guys, and I saw a grown man crying, like sobbing uncontrollably. And to me, that's when it's special. So that was an awesome weekend for us.
That's beautiful. Well, all the swimmers train so hard, and you guys especially getting second 5 years in a row and to win like you did in this year, it does make it extra special and extra moving. So I'm glad you were able to celebrate together. That's cool. And it's got to be rewarding though to have your son on the team.
Oh, absolutely. And I was just going to make a quick comment. Last year, we actually ended up falling to third because we had a 200 medley relay disqualified, and it really cost us. So it's unfortunate. It's part of the game, but we know we were knocking on the door. I think that was the biggest thing. As far as, and you're right. I think I really, in the middle of the moment, you're not thinking about that. It's such a fine line between head coach and number one fan of a kid on the team, right? That as a dad, to watch your son right there close by, to be in the best seat in the house on the pool deck, to watch your boy doing his thing and performing with amazing poise and delivering for the team. I mean, this is a kid that swims a 200 fly and can split 41 on the 400 free relay, but he can also give us an 18.8 in the short free relay. He can be 19.7, I think is his best 50 fly. So, I mean, he can do it all, and I love his willingness really to say, okay, what do I need to do for the team? And this year we moved him out of the short medley, moved him to the 200 free relay. And, at first he was like, but the 2 medleys, we love that relay. Well, that's what we need to do for the team. Okay, let's go do it, And so I'm very proud of him as a young man. But it's been a battle for us a little bit, especially early on, to find that balance between where's the dad, son versus, coach athlete line. And I give him a lot of credit. I mean, my spot is pretty fixed. Like I'm the head coach. I played that role no matter what. And he had to come in and adjust a little bit into that role of being, okay, and I'm a regular athlete on the team, or now I'm talking to my dad, So he's done an amazing job with that and really kind of set the stone. For us, even my oldest kid swam, Stefan, and he had to learn that. So I think it's kind of he learned and he passed it on to Nick, and then Nick's now passing that on to Gabby. And when it's all said and done, having had a chance to coach, all 3 of your kids at a really high level, it's a very special. I don't take that for granted at all.
Yeah, to me, that's maybe one of your most impressive accomplishments, because as a dad, I have one son. One of my 3 sons wants to swim. The other 2 didn't want to swim, and that's okay. I love them just the same. But it's fun to share that with them, and it's especially exciting when they can really own the process and enjoy the process with you as the coach and dad. And it's very tricky balance. Not many guys and gals have been able to do that. So I just want to say, well done finding that balance where they're improving and they're enjoying it. And, but yet you still can come home and enjoy them, as a father, son, daughter, daddy relationship, because it's really difficult.
You're right. And I think a credit is to the both of them, and they had to learn those boundaries, and I'll share a quick story. And I think it's, if anything, I think, my kids swim for my wife. My wife is, head coach of Cardinal Aquatics, and she stays with the 12 and unders, so kind of she was really foundational in their technique. I mean, all three of them have beautiful technique, and they do so many little things right, and that's a credit to my wife and really our age group program here. But ultimately, I'll never forget, we were coming out of a summer league, and my wife was the head coach of that team in the summer league, and both Nick and Gabby were clearly the most, the MVP, if you will, in the team. But it came time for the coaches to pick the MVP, and they didn't give the trophy to them, right? My wife and the assistant coach, they gave the trophy to another kid, a couple other kids. And I just remember both of them, the younger ones, were disappointed in the car and like feeling slighted, right? And we can fully relate and understand that. And I think that was a brilliant moment where my oldest one at the time said, "Listen, guys, you got to understand mom and dad's position. Like, you're never going to win those awards. Don't ever expect that. That doesn't mean you're not the MVP. It just means that they're doing the right thing. Like, they know you don't need that, and don't ever expect it." And I thought it was a really early on in their early career. Looking back at it, we didn't know it was going to be a career. We just thought it was something we're doing for fun in the summer. But I think it's something that set the tone about the expectations going into this.
I remember reading a note on y'all's Amy's wall at the club, something along the lines, "Dear parents, your kid's not going to the Olympics. Your kid is not going to be something like." It was just like this warning to the parents, like, hey, we're all about the whole kid. We're not just here to make fast swimmers. We're here to make great kids. And let's keep this thing in perspective. I can't remember the exact quote on the wall, but it cracked me up. And yeah. I appreciate Amy's perspective and your perspective. And your kids have just really done a great job of finding that balance. And ironically, here they are going crazy fast. And but I think that foundation really helped make that possible.
No question. And I think it's really, in many ways, I've watched her, right, and the way she's gone about developing her age group program from really scratch. And, as a parent, I can be a parent on the team, right? At one point I coach, but mostly I'm just a parent on the team, watching my kids grow up in it. And just a holistic approach of helping them grow as young men and young women. Well, it's precisely what we have done here at U of L Swimming and Diving. It's to help people grow as men and women, to be successful in the classroom, to be successful in life. And ultimately, swimming is just a consequence of all that, and to me, if you take care of the little things and you grow in so many of those areas, then it's inevitable. It's inevitable. You're going to swim well and you're going to be successful. Are you going to win everything, man? That's too hard, right? It's a couple hundreds here or there, but certainly you're going to be successful and you're going to grow. And in that process, you're a winner, right? That's how we define winners in this.
Well, I remember, I think I spoke to your team when you were like in your third or fourth year of coaching, way, way back in the day, maybe about 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was passing through, and I think I did a clinic or something. But to see where your team has come these last 18 years is impressive. And Coach Karen said, I said, what can I ask Arthur? What's a good question I can ask Arthur? And Karen said, ask him if there's any, because you and I are both Karen fans, but she said, ask him what is one piece of advice you got when you were a young coach that you still use today that's made a difference. So can you think back of something that you've applied this whole time that's really helped?
I think, I learned so much for Jim Steen, and it was a combination of, I think, the timing. I don't know your experience, but when I graduated from college, I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do. I just knew I loved swimming, and I had poured into it. I wasn't nearly as successful as you, in your level of swimming, but I loved it, and I just felt like, man, I put so much into this. Maybe I shouldn't just like close this chapter of my life completely and go do something else. And I had an opportunity to go work for James Dean at Kenyon College, and I can brag on this. The first year, for those of you young coaches out there, I made a nice round $4,000, 8 payments of 500. That was my payment. That was my salary. And I had a wife and a kid, and my wife worked at a local YMCA, and my mother-in-law, watched our baby at the time, and that's how we made it work. But I'll tell you what, I loved every minute of that year. It was just an incredible experience for me. And Jim's just a teacher. He's a ferocious competitor, amazing visionary, and to me, I think he does such an amazing job of reading people. You sit in a room with them for 5 minutes, he got you. And I learned a lot from him, to observe and to really get to the bottom, get to the layers behind, what's out there and what you see, but really what's behind that. And one of the things he always said, and I use this often, and this one is really true. It's don't let anything or anyone take you off your game. Not even a coach, not even a parent, a significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, teammate. Like, don't let anything or anyone take you off your game. That's such a simple thing, almost redundant, but so difficult to achieve, right? And it's really a function of focus, right? It's focus to be able to be literally, truly in the moment. And man, I think that's what this group had this past weekend. I mean, we had that wasn't the whole meet that way, but the moments that we had that truly united focus, it showed, and it was fire. It was awesome to see.
I love that. What is it like? I want to ask you what it was like coaching some of the athletes. So when I say an athlete's name, you tell me some of the thoughts of what sets them apart and makes them good. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind and that I know the best, Kelsey Dahlia Worrell. Tell us about what Kelsey does well.
Amazing heart. Amazing heart. I mean, talk about a team builder. That is Kelsey to this day, even in our pro group. She's a team builder. I think team player, most humble kid you've ever worked with, and trusting. I think for her, she came from such a limited background out of a small program in New Jersey to coming here, and we really didn't try to do too much. We just tried to go to work to get a little bit better. And I think that's a formula that works for her, keeping it simple, and I don't think she ever thought of being a NCAA champion, American record holder, first woman ever under 50 point in the 100 fly, to break some of those barriers. But as each moment came, she elevated herself, right? And really, just the joy. It's fun to work with her. I mean, yeah, she has bad days. So do I, and so do you. But I think ultimately the joy that she brings to those around her, I think that was Kelsey's trademark.
Yeah. Joao De Luca. What comes to mind when you think of Joao?
The hairline, how it's receding a little bit here. It's Joao had a little bit to do with that. Love the guy, like a son. We worked together for many, many years. He's still involved in my family in some ways. He's now working with a senior group at Cardinal Aquatics with my wife, and those kids are getting a treat, to have an opportunity to work with him. I think, Josh, the best way I can explain Joao is, if I was going to go to if I was going to go to a fight and I needed to bring a guy, just one guy with me, that's the guy I'm bringing. First of all, he's a big guy, but man, he loved to. And he was a guy in my career. There's been a few people, only a few, that have been able to at times overperform their preparation level. And Joao could get lost sometimes in the consistency of it. And that was probably the number one challenge we had, is just to keep him consistent, keep him hungry, because he will be hungry at championship time. I mean, there was nobody that you knew when you line up that you knew DeLuca was going to go because he loved to do that. That's why he got into this. And he would tell you, I hate to train, but I love to compete. And that's okay. And I always told him that's okay, but you got to train enough so you can compete and have fun with it, And so,
That's
but
right.
I mean, when it came to competing, you knew you put this guy on your relay, you knew you always had a chance with DeLuca. It was awesome.
Cool. Mallory Comerford. She ended up getting so
Mallory,
fast, and so tell us about her.
Mallory, is one of those stories which seems like more often than not in our program. Mallory was a 147.7 freestyler out of high school. Ended up going 139.8, tying Katie Ledecky, coming from behind on Katie Ledecky on the 200 free at NCAAs. Her improvement was absurd. 57.1 or 2 out of high school, and ended up going 52.5. Had the American record there for a few days before Simone got her back. The thing about Mallory is, again, another competitor, right? I mean, amazing fire with an amazing work ethic, and sometimes that basically suppresses her a little bit in the season. She got beating dual meets often, but man, she worked for it, and she knew that at the end of the day, she could go 146 in a dual meet and get beat by somebody going 145, and she was ticked off. But then at the end of the season, she went 139, and the other girl still went 145, right? So she got everybody's best shot all the time, and she needed to be ready for that. But when it came to really fire in competition, I'll tell you a quick story of Mallory. We were leaving trials in 2016, and she was just a freshman. She'd just been with us for 1 year. And she got a second swim in the 100 free. She was in the semis. And she was, I think, qualified 15th or 16th. And then in the semi, she didn't advance, but she beat Natalie Coughlin. And she was kind of speechless that Natalie was an idol, right? Somebody that she's watched and really considered to be a standard of excellence in our sport. And then she beat Natalie that day, and but just having a quick conversation with her at the end of the meet, and she was mad, truly mad that she did not make the team. Now, full honesty here, Josh, I honestly I never expected that she was going to have a shot, but in her mind, she went to the Olympic trials to make the meet, and probably, in hindsight, there's probably other things that we could have done as coaches a little bit better, but that was her heart. And then, that chip on the shoulder got bigger and bigger, and she was able to transform that into, that was my challenge to her, and just put that in forward motion. And then 2017 was really a breakthrough year for her, to win U.S. trials for Worlds and qualify for 2017 Worlds as a major player for Team USA. So that leads me to a quick side story, if I may. Sorry to bother you with this or make it boring for your viewers, but let me tell you, 2017 Worlds in Budapest, day one, Mallory leads off the relay, breaks the American record. The second swimmer on the relay is Kelsey Worrell, followed by Katie Ledecky and Simone Manuel. Team USA comes from behind to beat Australia for the first time in many, many years to win the gold with an American record and a leadoff, record by Mallory. How can you go to sleep that night, right? And I'm very fortunate to be there as Team USA coach, and what a moment, right? I mean, I still look back at that moment like I was thinking maybe I should retire because I don't know if there's a way to do better than that. It was just an incredible day that those two put together. I mean, they were not superstars. They were nowhere to be found. And man, what an awesome run for that day. Special all around.
I remember that, and I thought, holy cow, this girl is a gamer. And it was funny, a year ago, Lezak was picking his team his second year, and I said, you got to get Mallory, whatever you do. Maybe it was 2 years ago, and I said, whatever you do, you got to get Kelsey and Mallory. And sure enough, he did. And
he did. Yep.
Paid off. So
that's awesome.
But
that's awesome.
Well, I love that. Oh, I want just a real quick Zach Harding. Just real quick, any cool stories about Zach?
Zach, man, with Zach, I could count maybe on one or two fingers all the years, and now we've been together for this coming up on over 6 years now. And there's never a bad day with Zach. Zach is that guy, number one team guy. He was swimming his heart out for the team anytime and every time. Amazing relay splits. Quick side story for Zach. So 2019 NCAAs, I made a boo-boo. I was supposed to scratch him out of the 500, and I just missed it. I don't know. We that was a major failure as a staff. We just missed to turn that card in, the darn card in, which meant that was going to be a countable event. So I had to take him out of one of our relays. Our mindset going in is we're going to swim Zach in all 5 relays. And I had to take him out of the 200 free relay, which opened the door for another amazing story for a walk-on kid to deliver and amazing performance. But Zach, I'm feeling horrible. I get back to the hotel. I pull Zach out of the team room. He's eating dinner. I said, Zach, step out here for a minute. I said, Zach, I'm terribly sorry. I messed up. I was supposed to scratch you, and I missed it. And he didn't even miss a beat, Josh. He just looked at me and says, Coach, you tell me, what do you need me to do? You want me to go the 500 tomorrow? I'll go the 500 tomorrow. And I'm like, well, no, that was not our plan. He goes, Coach, you tell me, and don't worry, it's all good. And I was feeling sorry for myself, to be honest, right? I made a mistake, monumental mistake. And yeah, here's this kid, this young kid, team leader say, Coach, it's all good. We got it. No big deal. And didn't hurt us. We ended up finishing 5th overall, our best finish. Out of nowhere, we were 9th the year before, and the year before that, we've been 11th and 12th for many years too. So, but that's the kind of guy he is. I love to work with him. It's fun. He always makes fun of me. I put a quote on the practice, and every once in a while I go on certain tangents, and I put some John Gordon quotes in there, John Maxwell. I do a little bit of everything. And then I went through the stretch where I just put quotes from the book called The Magic of Thinking Big. And it's been a little bit here, a few weeks. So poetically, on Saturday morning, Zach sends me a quote, one of the ones I have given him about the magic of thinking big. And he said, Coach, I had a dream. We're going to find a way. We're going to pull it off. And he sends me the quote, that about positivity, about looking for ways to solve it, right? Not look for the reasons not to, which again, if you're a numbers guy like me, the logic is pretty clear. Like, it doesn't look good. And it was very timely, because I was like, you know what, Zach's right. We're gonna bring extra change of clothes for tonight, and we're gonna race our butts off, and let's see what happens. So but amazing people, right? I've been very fortunate, Josh, to work with really, really incredible people that have taught me so much. I learned so much from them, and I think more than anything, we've had amazing relationships. I think if we have our secret sauce, I don't know that we do, but it's relationships. I think I treat these guys as they're my own kids, and I love them, and they I know how much they've impacted our program, and ultimately how much they've impacted me as a coach and as a husband, as a dad. So I'm very grateful that I've had amazing people that I've worked with.
I love it. One last swimmer I want to ask you about, an old teammate, Morgan Bailey.
Morgan Bailey, yes.
You remember Morgan
Bailey? Oh,
you guys swam together at Oakland.
We did. So we had an interesting path. Both of us were transfers from Cal State Bakersfield. And when I got to Oakland, Morgan actually is from California, and he just took me under his wing, and I got a lot of grief by all the Bakersfield guys my first year at Oakland, because I transferred to the rival, right? But at that time, man, everything was falling apart. Ernie left Bakersfield to go to Arizona State. There was a bit of a mess. Eventually, they hired Chuck Warner, and I always joke with Chuck, that I left before they even hire a coach. But and I always joke that, man, I got out at the right time, Chuck. He never forgives me for that. But I think ultimately, Morgan was a guy. As I came in as a sophomore, really a little bit of experience, but not a whole lot. And Morgan took me under his wing, and we started talking about that year about how Oakland was going to have a shot of winning. And Morgan just sat me down, like, you're going to play a major role. And I just remember being like scared out of my pants, like, what do you mean? Like, I just got here. And just a guy who was along the way as a man, He was instrumental in my life in guiding me, in the Lord's Prayer and really helping me get to that point where I felt, it's the right thing to do for me to give my life to Christ here. And Morgan is a dear friend, and a difference maker. He was a difference maker for me personally. And I know he's making a difference now when he does. So thanks for asking that. Wow, you took me back, man. Got me a little choked up.
That's so cool because I didn't know y'all were that close because it was, I think, summer of 95, maybe summer of 94. Morgan and I trained together in Colorado one summer. And maybe it's 2 summers in a row. But anyway, he's just a great guy, and he's a deep guy, nothing surfacey about Morgan, he's just a deep soul, and I just love him. And I thought, when I saw you were on the team together, I was like, I bet you got a good Morgan story.
Morgan was like we always joked a little bit. The 2 captains were certainly it felt to me they were older guys. They were, but they were old souls. They were by the book kind of guys. It was Morgan Bailey and Sean Peters, who's now head coach at Wayne State. And these guys they gave their hearts for that team, and they felt it. And I'll never forget, after we won that year, we went back to the hotel, and it was like, what do we do now? Like, we've been chasing this thing, we won, and just great people, so awesome. Thanks for asking those.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing. I wanted to take a moment from this fascinating interview to let you know about a new partner for the Ultimate Swimmer podcast, and that is SwimShare. SwimShare is a free workout riding tool. Just Google SwimShare, all one word, SwimShare. And you can put in today's workout in just a few clicks, and it sends and stores all your workouts within seconds. The first workout you'll see on there is one of my favorites from yours truly. Check out SwimShare and take your workouts to the next level. Send, store, and share your swimming masterpieces with SwimShare. What are some of your favorite essentials? Like do you have a go-to kick set, a go-to main set, maybe a favorite drill, favorite dry land, favorite weight room. So maybe we can go through maybe team traditions. Maybe we can go through these little things, real practical things that maybe some coaches listening out there can apply. And I heard you might have a special Davis set. I don't know. Maybe you could mention that one.
Yeah. I do. I think I like to keep it simple. I think in the collegiate setting, in a non-pandemic world, these guys are running around all day, going to class, go to morning practice, go to class, go to the weight room, and then come to the pool. And I feel like they need a moment to decompress, right? So I learned that from Jim Steen. We start every practice with what we call 4-4-4. It's a 400, 4-100s, and 450s. Everything is a 130 base. And I hate to yell at people to get in the pool, so I give them a little grace to get into it. But once they're like, okay, we're going on the top, that's the 15 minutes in my mind that I want them to kind of, okay, now you're here. Just focus on, get your hearts ready for an awesome practice right here, right now. And that's kind of a transition period for me. We do a lot of underwaters, so when it comes to we do 2 major kick sets every week, sometimes 3 depending on time of the season, but pretty much we do some type of underwater every day. Sometimes for endurance, sometimes on a longer set, we may do 20, 25s underwater. We may do a few 50s underwater, no breath at all at the turn, and so we build to that. And I think certainly the freshmen, you're doing something different and unusual when the freshmen always come in, they struggle mightily on that. And the rest of the team's like, hey, what's the big deal? So that's been a staple for us, and I think it's not coincidental that if you look at Kelsey, you look at Nick, you look at a young lady that we had last season, Grace Oglesby, that was 150 point to 200 fly. Like, these guys are underwater specialists. Tanya Kilianen, who represented Finland internationally but was from Maryland, was a 403 IMer for us, coming in as 412. Amazing underwater. So we've had a great tradition of underwater is part of what we do, and we work for it, and we take pride in it.
That's good. What are some other sets you guys like to do, or anything particular in the weight room or main set that's just an essential that you like to see them doing every week?
Every week, we have a couple that I would think, certainly there's always a drill component, and sometimes those are guided drills. Sometimes are just, we just call them drills and skills. And certainly at this level, I find that I can guide them on some drills, and certainly early season we'll do a little bit more. But as we get to a little bit later on, it's an item on the practice, 10 minutes drills and skills with toys, and I want to give them that time to own their swimming, right, and to be really purposeful on what they're working on. We would throw in a little bit of a body line exercise that I like, whether no matter what stroke you swim. I think it's a little sidekick progression. Again, I learned those from Coach Steen. It's pretty simple. It's 300s where you go. The first 75 is 12 kicks in 3 strokes. The next 75 is in 6 and 3. Then the next 75 is 3 and 3. So it's a slight pause, and the last 75 you just put it all together, right? Silly, simple, basic, but sometimes I find it to be it's a good way to kind of again get people lined up. It's all about body line, connecting things. Fairly light interval. I'm not worried about trying to go fast there, and we do it with fins a lot of the time. So it's really a body line exercise. So I would say another set that we do. I wouldn't say it. It's not certainly not every week, but it's a staple that we do probably 3 or 4 times a year. That's this nasty set that we call it's 2450s. We call it VO2. It's 2450s. If it's long course, it's on 110. If it's short course, it's on 105. And it's best average, everything you can do for all 24. And I knew we're onto something when that summer of 16 when Kelsey, and we'll start with 24, and then occasionally we'll scale down versions to it, and we may do, maybe part of taper, we may do 8. And I knew we were onto something when Kelsey was popping 29 highs, as part of the set. And really we kind of discussed that as that's the target for your back half. And I'll never forget at trials when she made the team, the only question she had was like, what did I come back in? What was my split? And I told her 25, 29, 97. And she was like, yes, celebrated that because we felt, hey, if you can go 29 in this set, then you can come home in 29. It worked. It worked. So I think those are major. And and then I do have this set, that I named in honor after a friend of mine and a guy that I admire so much. And talk about a guy who swam with with guts early on. He would put it on the line right away. I don't know if you heard of him. Some guy named I think it's Davis, last name, and maybe first name Josh, maybe. And I tell the team, and we do this set. Sometimes it's 4, it could be 675s. And I put it on the practice, item number 4 or 5, whatever it is. It's we're gonna do 675s, Josh Davis style. And I always bring the team in before, and I explain. I said, okay, what is Josh Davis? And I said, well, let me tell you about Josh Davis. So I tell him the legend, that Josh Davis is. And at the time in the pool, he was a guy who would go out. He would lay it on the line early, long course 200 free, be leading the field by a body and a half. They come catch him, but it was never enough, right? And I love that. I love that. Put it on the line early, and let's see what we can do. So the Josh Davis 75s are all about taking it out as fast as you can. Win the 25, and then win the 50, and then win the 75. But you can't pace it. You got to go. And so everybody knows the Josh Davis 75. Some of these guys are young. They need to catch up with their swimming history. So I mentioned to them that I was actually going to come on the Josh Davis podcast. And one guy says to me, oh, the guy for the 75s? No. Josh Davis, the legend. That's the guy. So I hope you appreciate that. And certainly we have appreciated. I, as a coach and as a fan of the sport, I love to watch your race, Josh. That was awesome.
Well, that is one of my highest honors, maybe more than my Olympic medals, is that I'm part of the Arthur Albiero training regimen. That's my highest honor. And hopefully it helped you guys win ACC. Can I take a little credit for that? Okay, great. But
absolutely. It takes everybody. Yeah, everybody plays a role.
That's right. Well, in Spanish, it's called cojones. What do you call that in Portuguese? But you gotta go out for it, baby.
That reminds me of Morgan Bailey had this quote. Since you talked Morgan Bailey early, we put this quote on one of our team shirts that year, the first year we won, and that was it was, I don't know where it came from, but it was take it out fast, let God sort him out, and that was Morgan's message for the team: take it out fast, let God sort him out. spoke the truth right there. Check, So,
Yeah.
man, it's guts, man. It's you had that, and I feel like, it's such a fine line between, if I can say this, it's such a fine line between stupidity and guts. Those go together to really find where that fits. But I think back of the Luca winning the 200 free the first time out of lane 1 in Indianapolis. And he went out and he has, never forget Rowdy calling that race. I mean, the Luca has a body lead on the field and everybody's stunned, and yeah, they came catching him and his last wall was miserable, bad coaching on that part. But, at that time I think it was the 4th fastest time in history, 131, which, 131 is become pedestrian these days with all these guys going 129s. But ultimately at the time it was like, man, nobody's done that before, and so but that was inspired on that. Take it out and see what we can do.
I love it. And finally, real quick, any team traditions that you guys do that really helps your team bond and build a good culture? Does anything come to mind about that you've applied to your team?
Well, I think the culture and the tradition, it kind of takes a life of its own, and certainly having been here now 18 years, there's been certain things that we've developed that are natural these days. Certainly some cheers, some different things, some of the things we say internally, some key words in our program. But honestly, I think it starts a little bit with my coaching staff. I'm very fortunate. I work with 4 coaches that all swim for me, and they understand the system from within, right? I mean, we run in essence. The frame is the same. The practices are so different today than when they swim, but the frame mind, the frame set of the system is the same, and so they understand that in what we're trying to do from a training. But then on a personal level, 3 of them swim here at Louisville, right? So this is truly personal for them, and we've been together on average, if you count the years, swimming with me and the years coaching now, each one of them, it's over 10 years, and that's a very unusual. I don't think you see that everywhere. And across the board, all 4 coaches, we've been together for over 10 years. So it's personal, it's family. And I think, that creates some of those traditions. I think for us, it's this idea of, Louisville swimming is not about arms and legs. I mean, it's about heart. We compete with heart, and we never expect things to be easy. And I think that's just been, if you're going to build a program from scratch, nothing's come easy for us. Recruiting doesn't come easy. Developing people doesn't come easy. Racing doesn't come easy, but that's okay. We're okay with that. We're up for a good challenge, and I think it's been kind of the motto, if you will, from the very beginning. Like, we're not trying to line up and break a world record. Even when Kelsey was trying to go make the team or break the American record, we never once talked about, hey, let's go break the American record. We talked about, hey, how can we be better, right? Every day. So for me, it's taking this big monster. You're trying to go do something really special. But for me, it's more about like, hey, let's just try to get a little bit better today. If we do that, we're going to call that a good day, right? And then that gives us a chance to come back tomorrow and try to get a little bit better than at that day, right? And if you can string those together, because, in our sport, it's not about being flashy, right? You can be flashy here or there, and that's great, but that's not going to take you there. It's about consistency, So I'll take that every day, where you can be consistent and you can work through those practices and having a big vision, right? And probably that's the one thing that we said this from the beginning. When I took over, we started talking about being a top 20 team in the country when we didn't have anybody even considering any state qualification. We talked about, hey, we set up our goals. I want to put people on the U.S. national team. I want to win conference titles. I want to be a major respected national program. We're gonna support USA Swimming in everything that we can. We're gonna go to all the meets. We're gonna compete, and we're gonna put people in teams. And it's taken a bit, but we're chipping away at some of those big goals. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome. And again, it starts with this, Josh. It's about, I'm the head coach, but you know what? I'm just the one guy, one little peon in the middle of this whole machine. And I'm very grateful to work with amazing people. My coaching staff certainly starts there. But then the extended staff, our director of ops, massage therapists, people that have been with me for a long time, and nutritionists, sports psychologists, team managers who just work tirelessly, right? Do so much behind the scenes. So it's this ACC championship win it's for everybody, and it doesn't happen without all those people doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So very grateful.
Yeah, that's well said. I get the sense that Louisville really supports you in the swim team and the development of the whole athlete and the development of you as not only a coach, but also encourages you to do what you need to do to be a great husband, a great dad, a great community, citizen. And so talk in closing, in the last minute, just talk about the importance of the balance of family. And I include, personal well-being, spiritual health, emotional health, and balancing all that with the coaching and business duties. So, because I think you've done a great job of finding that balance.
Thank you. Thank you. I first of all, I have to give all the credit to my wife. I married way up. She's such a wise, strong woman, so grounded in her faith, and she's been a great leader for me many times. And I think we kind of play that role to each other. And she's a great advisor behind the scenes, really, in many ways, right? So, and trust me, she's not afraid to tell me when I'm off balance. So I have a short leash when it comes to, hey, that's off balance. That's not it. Put the phone away. I'm here. Let's enjoy dinner together. And now that we're empty nesters, it's definitely that's what it is, right? And so I think it starts there. But the amazing support. I mean, being the wife of a coach, uh, you know, uh, it's a brutal endeavor, period. And certainly a swim coach with so many things moving on. She knows that February and March, it's kind of like pretty much we're just high fives in the hallway, like because we barely see each other. But we love it. We both love it, and I respect and appreciate what she's doing. And she's a business owner. She owns a swim school. She owns she's the owner of a age group program that's been battling to stay alive, swimming outdoors all year this year in Kentucky. I mean, just a fighter. So starts there. But I think for me, coming to Louisville, and you appreciate this, I mean, things were changing at the time. I was doing great. I loved my time at Alabama, and but clearly things were changing there, and it was like I just kept praying, Josh, that God just please put a neon sign in my yard. Let me not miss where you have for me next. And I would have not thought that top 100 places I should go was going to be Louisville, Kentucky, at all. But it's just the way it played out. And I was very fortunate. They offered me the position, 29 years old, take over a team that needed a lot of work, and I was the right guy for the job because I was ready and willing to work. And I was crazy enough to believe that we could do it here. And over the years, we've had chances to go different places, and certainly I'm always honored. But I always felt like we're doing something special here, and I didn't want to go somewhere to just live up to something that somebody else created. I love that we're doing our own history here. This year is a great example of that. I mean, we won ACCs for the first time. It's historical. It's ours. It's not somebody else's doing that we're trying to emulate. We did it. We built it. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'll be honest. I think it for me all along, it's been a God thing that we ended up in Louisville and the way things played out, and there's a lot to be said about being where you are meant to be, and you can see how life flourishes, and it's been fantastic for us, and couldn't be more humble and grateful that I'm here, and Louisville's been a fantastic place to raise a family. My children love it. It's a great place who loves athletics. No professional sports in town, really. Baseball team. We have a soccer team now, but AAA baseball. But I mean, Louisville athletics is the show in town, and the community support it. It's been amazing. So I'm very grateful. It's kind of one of those moments where you work very hard to achieve something and you actually do it, and you're kind of a little bit of a loss, like, okay, what now, and what now is NCAAs, man. We're ready and we're going to go do something special. That's our mentality, but my wife always challenges me, like, just don't move so fast to the next thing. Linger a little bit on a special achievement, and this one certainly adds to that, so I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of that, and it's probably way more information than you wanted. You're going to have to edit this a little bit, but I love it. I love the
No,
opportunity to share our hearts a little bit here.
Well, no, this is perfect. And I appreciate you being honest. I appreciate your journey. We're celebrating with you. And that's what the Ultimate Swimmer is all about. Someone who develops themselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. And the 3 H's of an Ultimate Swimmer, someone who works hard, has fun, and helps others. And you've done that. You've created that culture for so many swimmers and teams over the years. And you're a great example and a great inspiration to me. And I'm so glad we get to share some of your stories here on this podcast. And we'll be cheering you on at NC2As. And I can't wait to see you in person around the pool deck soon. And we wish you all the best, Arthur. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Great honor to be with you today. I appreciate it.
Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.
I want to take a moment to tell you about my favorite swim cap, the Hammerhead Swim Cap. It's the safest, fastest, longest lasting, most comfortable swim cap in the world. Its one-of-a-kind patented honeycomb shock-absorbing technology will prevent concussions. And the Hammerhead cap has no wrinkles to ensure top speed with the least resistance. And it's super comfortable. That's easy to get on and easy to get off, and it will never tear. This is the last cap you will ever need to buy. Safety and speed, all at hammerheadswimcaps.com.
Thank you for joining us on this Ultimate Swimmer podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing from these Olympians and life champions and how certain habits and decisions help them on their journey, and they can help you too. If there is an Ultimate Swimmer from your team that you would like to nominate that we can recognize on our show, just email me at josh@joshdavis.com. That's josh@joshdavis.com. And tell us about how your Ultimate Swimmer is making a difference in your swimming community. And that's the goal, to make a difference and swim with purpose. Not only are you getting better, but you're helping those around you get better too. When you realize you were born for the water, born for greatness, and born to serve others, you are on your way to becoming an Ultimate Swimmer. I'm Josh Davis. Until next time, keep streamlining and keep smiling. See you around the pool soon.